Hello and welcome to my workshop. I am thrilled to be here with you today and thank you for your time. Today we will talk about the 3 major tips for aromatherapists for boosting credibility while liberating your creativity. Are you excited? I really am. It's quite a bold topic, don't you think? But let me ask you this. And this is definitely for you if you're frustrated because you can't seem to get a break. You know, you are working too hard, you have too many things on your plate, you just seem to be running from one conference to another, reading books, trying to find the information you need, to tell your superior to create a great product, to sell whatever it is that you're selling. You're just all over the place. If you're like me, you're also writing articles, you're doing research, you're, helping your daughter, everything at one time. So it feels like you really can't get a break. But what you really want to do is distinguish yourself as an aromatherapist without going through mountains of this research and books and, spending so much time on all of this when what you really want to do is aromatherapy. Express yourself through your creativity. Don't we all love those smells and what they can do for everybody? Help other people. So this is what you want to spend your time on, but you feel kind of constricted. So if you can hear yourself somewhere in there, then you're at the right place. So who am I to give you this bold title, this bold topic, that I promised you? Well, let me give you some examples of where I got my break to distinguish myself as an aromatherapy expert, which I still feels funny saying aromatherapy expert. It's other people calling me that, so I'm just quoting them. And here I gave you a little bit of a list of where I was invited to teach and to share my knowledge. But the story actually goes, it's really, I guess, like everybody else, you start with aromatherapy. I loved the smell. I loved what it could do for me, for my body, for my family, and the creativity of it. That's what attracted me, actually, the beauty and the creativity of it. But then as I got into it, once you start really exploring it, and especially once I start teaching it, I got all into the scientific area and essential oil chemistry because I was invited a lot to teach pharmacists. Actually, I kind of specialized. I taught literally thousands of them. And then they discovered that I guess this is where I distinguish myself in essential oil chemistry. So I got invited to teach at universities, at colleges, for medical professionals, cosmeticians. Ones that I noticed lately because somebody was asking me to speak at another conference for cosmetology is that I actually was teaching employees for L'Occitane and Melvita. I completely forgot about this. This was 2014. So I got to do many things, but just like I said in my introduction, I just felt I couldn't get a break. Really what I wanted to do is aromatherapy. So anybody who invited me or anybody who needed any advice, I was happy to give it. So that's why it was throwing me kind of everywhere with distillers, with scientists, with nurses, with therapists, with massage, with cosmetology. I even had lectures and consultations for marketing, for hypnotherapists. So it's really crazy. I even worked with hairdressers. It was a wild ride. So this is why I thought it would be an interesting topic to address today. How to actually get your credibility, because what I was chasing was exactly that, my credibility, that not just mine, but aromatherapy as a therapy, because here where I work, it was not recognized until a few years ago. I also had to put a lot of energy into making aromatherapy a profession here, so that what I work I can call myself aromatherapist. I couldn't call myself aromatherapist until recently. And I've been doing this for like 15 years. So this topic, I was thinking, should I or shouldn't I talk about it? But I think it's something that a lot of us are going through. We would love to do aromatherapy to express ourselves. I know a lot of my colleagues, just like me, are very creative, but by searching for this credibility for the, not just for us, but for aromatherapy and essential oils, what happened to me was I got lost. I got lost in it. I lost my creativity, my whole a holistic approach. It became all about the chemistry. But then I found a way how to bring it together, and this is what I would like to share with you today. So let's get to it. I hope you're excited. I really am. Let's do it. So what you will discover in the next 60 minutes is how to gain more credibility, have more confidence in your service, whatever your service is. Maybe you're selling essential oils, maybe you are a nurse and needing to, explain your reasoning to your superiors or to your clients, to your whoever it is that you're working with. You always have to explain yourself to somebody, and it's good to have credibility. So what I would love to share with you is how to save months worth of research without reading a single page. Okay? I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should. You should do a lot of research yourself, but how you can save yourself mountains of pages and time and eventually money. So are you ready? Let's do it. So this workshop is called 3 Major Tips for Aromatherapists for Boosting Credibility While Liberating Your Creativity in Less Than 10 Minutes. Okay, so as I said, it's quite bold, but I think we can do it. And I would like to accent here the liberating of creativity, because this is what a lot of us start with. We love essential oils because they're so creative, and they feed that part of us to really create and make something nice, make something good, do good for the world. But then, because we frequently get into situations where we have to explain why it works, how it works, we have to be careful with safety, we have to take into consideration so many factors that we end up spending far more time on that than on what we actually love, and that is helping other people and being creative. So how do we go back to doing what we love more? Let's take a look. So number 1, reputable references. It's a no-brainer. We all know it. And in aromatherapy, I like to teach that less is more, but in this case, having more references is better. And this is nothing new for you, but I'll show you a little trick on that as well. So not necessarily that the more references you have, it will just look better on your page. The references that you actually are sharing really need to be good quality. What I personally found with scientific references is there's more and more of them. You have to keep up. And not all of us are qualified to read them. Okay, so it does take a lot of effort. And we need to look at preferably scientific references. So references of the essential oil, and sometimes, if not always, in my opinion, looking at the chemical components and their references. So at the end, this will actually give you solid rationale to sell your product or service or essential oils. So let's take a look. I will use Dropsmith because that is my baby, my creation, and let me show you what I mean. So if we look at, for example, essential oils such as eucalyptus, first of all, we have tons of eucalyptuses, so different species, but we'll come back to that later. So let's say we are talking about Eucalyptus globulus. But let's take a step back and take a look at PubMed, for example. So you're searching for scientific references on Eucalyptus globulus. Perhaps you will be using it for respiratory system, perhaps you're going to have a lecture on it or write an article, and you go to PubMed and you pop in eucalyptus essential oils. So there we go. So this is very broad. So if I type in Eucalyptus globulus essential oil, you will see that we find over 600 results. And let me tell you, my research team goes through all 600, okay? And my research team is consisted of professional pharmacists who actually are qualified to read this and evaluate this. But let's say you want to get more specific, you can put some other data, or you just want to read in the last 10 years, let's just say last 10 years. And as you see, the information has been growing largely. So in just last 10 years, we have almost 400, like 376 results on Eucalyptus globulus essential oils. It's just, you know, it freezes your mind to go through all of this. I cannot imagine the time. I can ask my research ladies though. So first of all, it's time consuming. What we want to do is create with this oil, not spend so much time researching on it. Another thing, going through all this research, you will see abstracts are not enough. So first you go through abstracts to read about what the paper is about, but then you have to actually read the entire paper to see if it's relevant or not, if it turned out to be you know, useful for your particular case or not. So I created Dropsmith to bypass this because I was wasting a lot of time on it. I wouldn't say wasting, but it took too much time from what I was actually wanting to do. So first thing you want to do when you are choosing an essential oils is get your references. So here in Dropsmith, what I did, because this is how it made it easy for me, is I have properties that are scientifically based. So instead of going through those 500 references, I have my people do it for me, and then we summarize it here for you. And see, as I've been through this as well, I want more information. So for example, if I'm asking for antiviral, if they found which virus it was actually active against, we put that in for you. The same for antifungal. So you see exactly what you are targeting. And this will help you get, if I go back to my slide, get more credibility and, you know, more solid rationale for what you're choosing. So not only are you going to do, for example, blend for fungal infection, you will do it if you know exactly which fungi you're working on. You can choose essential oils exactly for that, and then here you have the reference of why you chose that. So this can save you like literally months for searching that. So these are all relevant scientific results. But I like to take it a step further because sometimes you do not have information, scientific information about it. So what you do need to do also is take, of course, into consideration all the experts and all the aromatherapists' books, journals. What are they doing with this information? What are their case studies? So I separate this in application because it can be very different what science is researching to how therapists are applying it. And I know this because I work with both. So here again, I might see, for example, air disinfection, but who said that? It was Madeleine, a wonderful therapist with tons of expertise, and you can see how she uses it. And again, reference goes back to her book, so you can go and check it out for yourself. The thing that saves tons of time here is that you do not need to, you know, for example, search for all this information on different places. Dropsmith will narrow it down for you so you can pinpoint exactly what you need. So let's say you were looking for, I don't know, in this case, something for sore throat. Okay, so it's exactly for that specific purpose, and then you see who said that. Next thing I wanted to talk about is the chemical composition of essential oils. So do not be afraid of chemical components in essential oils. They are your friends. Not only are they your friends, they really take that extra step, and it's something that will give you even more credibility, especially if the oil is rare, and I'll show you that in a second. So here with Eucalyptus globulus, we have quite a simple detailed report, which is your GCMS report. And what we do in Dropsmith, and this is also because I was going crazy remembering all of these properties for certain chemical components, but you just cannot remember them all. I can remember that alpha pinene is, for example, analgesic and anti-infective, but I just cannot not remember the entire list of it. So what we did here, what my team did with me, is we went through chemical components and researched those, and then put it in here for your convenience, again saving you probably years. We're up to years now. So the next step, because this is all in our digital age, so let's take it a step further. This all you can theoretically do by yourself, but what I wanted to do is calculate it. So I took all these properties of these chemical components and I calculated them for you. So as you can see, it says that it's 90% analgesic. But what does that mean? It means that these chemical components in Eucalyptus globulus, this particular one, have been scientific evidence that they are analgesic. Okay, so then you have double rationale. You have the our colleagues here saying that it is great for pain. So let's find that it's great for pain, and you reference it here. But also you have, for example, here research that says it's anti-inflammatory. So that might be also your argument why you chose this for pain. And on top of that, you have a bunch of chemical components that justify that, yes, they're also analgesic and anti-inflammatory, and a whole bunch of other useful properties that can then back up why you are, offering this product, or why you use this essential oil in your consultation, or why you're selling it. And the next step, where this really comes in handy and when really shows your expertise, or your advantage as a professional, is when you use essential oils that are rare. So taking a step back with the eucalyptus species, here's an interesting subspecies. What do we do with it? Let's take a look. So this is a really interesting one. It's also interesting because it's from a specific origin, but my team could not find pretty much anything. Okay, we found some scientific references. That was really cool, but there was nothing written in it in aromatherapy journals or books that we could come across, not even safety, for example. So what then, and you have this beautiful oil. Perhaps you want to use it because you're creating a marketing target for your product, and you want to use something local and special, or you want to use it because it's local and you want to support your local growers. Whatever your reason might be, the solution I can provide is that we calculate these chemical components. So this is the GCMS of this particular eucalyptus species. And as you see, it's quite complex, but it adds up nicely. It has some typical chemical components. So again, you see your alpha pinene here. You see plenty of 1,8-cineol, I'm sure, it's a long list. 1,8-cineol, here it is, 30%. So it's quite significant in 1,8-cineol, and 1,8-cineol has a nice long list of useful properties. And how can this help you? So you are here with an oil that has little or no information at all, and how are you going to sell it, or how are you going to use it that is safe, that has rationale, that your superiors will allow you to do? So we calculate the properties of the chemical component. So see here it says 94% and even more antibacterial. What does that mean? All of this, see this long list of chemical components inside this beautiful essential oil, they all have antibacterial properties backed by science, and you can go and click on it. Our team read all of these, if you can believe it. They're still reading new ones. So I'm not saying you just copy paste this, but it will save you mountains of research. You can go directly to what you need. You can choose the few that are relevant for your purpose, and then read those or use those to sell your service, to create your paper, to explain why this oil is great to use for. Let's see, what can we use it for? For example, pain again, or some air disinfection. Okay, so I hope that was mind-blowing. Let's go back to my slide to see. So we covered scientific references, the difference between essential oil and the chemical components. So you can look up both. In some cases, like Eucalyptus globulus, we had quite sufficient amount of scientific references for the essential oil, but with this new species, first we can, always fall back on the chemical components and their properties. And this will give you really solid rationale for, selling your product, for explaining why you use this, for you to feel more confident in your choices and what you're saying. So what I really would like to give you is, the peace of mind, and I'll give you more time to then spend it on being creative and helping your patients. It's the whole point, to actually do aromatherapy instead of, searching for references. But reputable references are crucial, are necessary. If you want anybody to take you serious, you really need to know your references. And I'll tell you, because I've been teaching medical professionals for over a decade now, and the reason I can stand up there on that stage is because I have a long list of references, and I have people working to get me new ones. So let's use this new digital era in our favor to, allow us to do what we really want to do, and that is be creative and helpful. At least that's what was my goal. So next thing, the secret is in the details. As you're seeing, our GCMS report, the detailed report I just showed you in Dropsmith, that is where the power is. That is where, you have so much more to work with. And it actually demonstrates your professionalism, not just understanding how to use the GCMS productively, but that you understand all of the aspects of the essential oil that you're working with. You can talk about the scientific references of the oil or the chemical component. You can explain how these, why the safety, and I'll show you in a minute how safety is directly related to the GCMS report, to what is in your essential oil. And if you do not know how to explain that well, it just does not come across powerful enough. I found that when I presented in this way, I just look so much more professional. And that is then the advantage of my service, of my knowledge, of everything I do, is because I have, as I said previously, tons of references to back up what I am saying in any moment. So ultimately, it gives more value to not only my work, but to my essential oils. So, for example, if I was to use or sell this essential oil, at the start, except that it's pretty and unique, you have nothing to work with. If what brings it its value, as in some rationale why somebody can then buy this and use this, is then at the moment in its GCMS report, and how the properties of these chemical components can help us give the value, as in how to use it, because I guess the value is in what it gives, what can we do with it. So speaking about unique oils and details, do you know what this detail here is? Can you recognize which essential oil that is? I'll give you a minute to think about it while I prepare the next thing to show you. So do you know? Did you figure it out? It's actually Salvia officinalis. It's sage. So let me show you how different salvias can affect your choice. How you can use this right here, the secret of the details, to show your professionalism, to show your advantage, and where you are, different in your knowledge, why your opinion matters actually, when you are expressing, whether you're teaching aromatherapy or selling oils or helping people with them. This will be of value to you. So let's look at salvia, different species. And by the way, I encourage you to do this with all the species you can think of: eucalyptus, salvia, mint species, thyme. You will be surprised how diverse and how widely different they can be in their composition, and that directly affects how we use them, and safety. So today I want to talk about safety, and for that I will use Salvia officinalis, so your typical sage, and we'll compare it to the clary sage. And let's use some different ones, maybe more common: lavender sage, and okay, so let's go wild and choose this white sage right here. So today I will compare. In this example I could blend, but now we are first going to compare. And comparison is very important to getting your point across. I'll show you in a second. So this is my favorite tool, and I always use it to get my point across. But to give you an example, I use this for my students to explain to them why is it necessary to understand chemotypes, for example. Or in this case, I will show you how very different species influence our choice. Or for example, when I do different articles, I love to use this tool to show, again, to compare some parameters, whatever it is that what the point of your article is. It's very easy to show it when you're comparing things. I use it when I am choosing oils for a product, or where I'm consulting somebody for a product. It's great. It's very easy to show, for example, which sage to use. They want to use a salvia. A lot of times people who are actually making products don't know much about aromatherapy, or not enough. They think they do, but they should know more. And by comparing essential oils, it is just so much more professional, and you get that point across in 2 minutes instead of 2 hours sometimes, or 20. It saves you lots of time. So here we have Salvia officinalis, clary sage, lavender sage, and white sage. And what I love about this is because I'm visual and creative, so I wanted to make this visual, and it's, when you look at it, you can see right away that they're different because of the colors, and the colors represent their chemistry. But even if you do not know that at the moment, or you don't care, or think chemistry is valuable at the moment, it tells you, it shows you right away that there's something to consider here. So with this awesome tool, you get to compare everything, and I mean everything. Sometimes it's important to know the origin. So you can compare same oils as well. We have over 800 essential oils here, so you can compare also the same ones that are from different origin, for example, from different family, which part of the plant was it. So this all affects it. So then we compare properties. So for example, these three have all scientific research that they're antibacterial. White sage doesn't, and that doesn't surprise me, because white sage is not a typical one. I wanted to use the three more more known oils, because then we have more research on it and more references in general. But as you see, for white sage, we didn't find any research at all. So that's another thing to consider when you are talking about essential oils, and when you're reading about them, looking for that information. You may quite frequently, now that we have more and more unique oils coming, more and more rare or local things, you will not have much to work with. And this is why, especially now, it is the time to look at our GCMS report and what can that do for us. What can that do by telling us how to use this, how to use it more safely, how to use it appropriately, how to use it efficiently. And then from there, we're hoping for more and more research, for more and more people sharing their experiences. But at the moment, where we can always fall back on is the detailed report, the one we just looked at a minute ago. So again, here we compare everything, and as you can see, white sage, nothing. But for these three, we have tons of information. We can use it, all three, for example, for deodorant very nicely. But some things are different. For example, hypertension, only for clary sage. Okay, so it's quite important to know which one we're working on, because what I really wanted to show you in this segment of the presentation is safety. So look at that, how incredibly different safety is. So Salvia officinalis recommended only 0.4%, whereas a lavender sage, the maximum dermal use is 12.5%. And with clary sage, they don't even mention it. They say just that no known safety hazards or contraindications. So very different, no known safety hazards or contraindications from this long list of things, do not use on children, neurotoxic. And with white sage, it is also not recommended for children. Why? Because of its 1,8 cineol content. So you will see when you look at safety, it is pretty much always connected to the chemical components. So we really need to take a next step further and understand these chemical components, what is in our oils, so that again, coming back to our credibility and solid rationale, why I will not use white sage for respiratory problems for children, although there's a big chunk of 1,8 cineol that is wonderful for respiratory system. It is also not recommended for children. So we can see that in the content. And here, it compares. So you can see our 1,8 cineol content, for example, here. So with white sage, nicely white sage, so you have almost 70%. In clary sage, you don't have it at all. Whereas in Salvia officinalis, around 10%. And again, this varies from oil to an oil, and it's another cool thing to check out in Dropsmith and compare those. And by the way, do go and check out different Ieros, helichrysums. Those are very, very different. You might be surprised. Even geranium oils can be quite dramatically different. So lots of fun there. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is blending. So once I evaluated, for example, these 4 essential oils, and I decide that I will go with clary sage because it's, for example, the safest one to use, or I will decide to use white sage, but not for child, for respiratory system, and I will use it within the dosage that is recommended. So this way I like to choose, and also my clients, their essential oils for the next step, which is blending. So let me show you that. And the reason I'm going back to blending is because from what I noticed with my colleagues and my clients and pretty much anybody who's using essential oils, what we really love about them is expressing ourselves, being creative, having, all these options for us on choosing. And you can use plenty of different oils for the same thing. So for example, if you would like to relax somebody, I can right here insert relax. And as you see, I have over 350 oils. Let me just take a look at more items. So all of these oils popped up for relaxation. So we have plenty of options and we can be very creative. But what sometimes stops us from being creative is being safe. And so we always come back to lavender, for example. Why? Because lavender has tons of research. We can always fall back on that. It is a safe oil to use. We are all familiar with its chemistry. And then what happens is we become more and more closed, and just what I said at the beginning, we spend more time looking for research and explaining why we are using this than what we actually started doing aromatherapy in the first place, and that is to help other people and to be creative and to do something really nice for yourself and others. And let's say you want to create a blend for a massage blend. I'll do a very simple one. A massage blend to relax, to soothe, to help somebody feel good, because it will be a blend for a massage therapy. So something that's for everybody, but you would like to be unique, because what I would like to talk about next, number 3, is to be unique. Because how are you going to distinguish yourself from the crowd if you're just saying the same thing everybody else is? I'm not saying that you need to reinvent the wheel, but ultimately we are all here to give something valuable and contribute to each other by expressing our uniqueness. So we all have something to say. We all have a way of blending different. We all have our take on aromatherapy is a little bit different. Although we might have been at some same teachers or read the same books, our experience is different. What we treat is different. Some may be specialized in, using aromatherapy for clinical care. Others are specialized to use aromatherapy just for hair, or perhaps for cosmetics, or perhaps you are distilling essential oils, and perhaps you want to use just local oils. So we are all in the same business, but there is space for all of us to be unique. The way to come back to this, and it took me over a decade. That's why I thought this was worth sharing, because I got so stuck in the scientific part of aromatherapy that I completely forgot my creativity and to express my inner unicorn. At the end, when I came out of all of this studying, and I'm still studying, by the way, and researching, is that is what gives me my solid foundation. That is why I got invited. It's this knowledge. But I put it all together in a unique way. Of course I did, just like everybody else does. We have our own viewpoint on this, and that is worth sharing. So you do need to have a solid foundation to sell your product, to consult, to create your blend, but to give yourself more freedom again. It's very interesting how it circles. You need that quality research, that quality information, and then you're free to be more you, to be more creative. Okay, so let me show you how that works. So for example, I would like to use something different in a relaxed blend. So I would like to use yuzu because it's an interesting citrus, but it's not used that frequently, so I will use it in my blend. But I would love to use magnolia oil because it's just so rare, and let's say I discovered it and I have it in my cupboard, and let me just open yuzu in the other window so that we can look at its properties in magnolia. So I will use magnolia leaf. I will add it to the blend, and I will also open it in the other tab so that we can look at it. So first, let's take a look at these oils individually. So yuzu I chose because it's an interesting citrus from Japan, and it smells divine, and it does have some research on it, and we found some applications. So here I do have some references that support my initial idea to use it to relax my clients. So anxiety, stress, relaxing. I do have mood, see, PMS even. That's a good one to know. So there is some rationale already with my colleagues that are using it for these things. And also I have even research on anti-stress. Very cool. But the next thing is that if I look at the chemical composition of it, it is very dominant in monoterpenes, and actually limonene is the most dominant component of all. So this makes it very easy for me to work with because it is so extremely dominant in one component, and limonene has tons of research. So again, a year of research here at your fingertips. And one of the things I do know about limonene is that it has also antidepressant properties. So you will see here when it calculated, it is limonene, but also some other chemical components. So this will be very helpful when it will, when I can back up my rationale why I chose yuzu for my blend. So I do have all of these chemical components, especially limonene, which is the majority of my oil that has these wonderful properties. The potential is, my friends, in the detailed report. You just need to look at it. So with magnolia leaf, it's a bit harder. I chose it not only because it smells divine, but because we do have a safety on it. And it does again have some referencing on using it for relaxation and calmness, sensuality. So I do have colleagues that have been using this oil and recommend it, so it is a good start. Unfortunately, zero scientific references on the essential oil, but if you look at its composition, again, it has a very dominant monoterpene alcohols. And a very specific one, let me show you, it's linalool. So this one is also, you probably know it, and it has just mountains of information on it. And again, let me just scroll down. Oh, I saw another good one here. Anxiolytic. So that will definitely relax my client, don't you think? And then hypotensive, really useful as well. In what I want to do, sedative, so something you might want to use in the evening and to relax your client. So all these wonderful properties, and antidepressant as well. So it will align very nicely with my yuzu. And I love simple combinations. You might want to do something more, extravagant, but I like to keep it simple because it gives me more control of the final product. So now I will go ahead and do my blend because I actually checked out first the every single essential oil, and then when it aligns with what I want to do, then I go ahead and create my blend. So let's call it relaxing. Let's just call it relax for now because that's what we want to do. And description, this will be relax blend, and it might be, for example, in 100 ml of oil, of some base oil. So let's use, for example, olive oil because I am from the Mediterranean. Okay, and then you can choose drops, milligrams, grams, whatever it is, use percentages. I will use drops because this is what we most often do. It would be better if we use some something more tangible, but at this moment we will use drops. and I will keep this private because we also have a community area in Dropsmith. So magnolia leaf and yuzu. And what is really cool here is that as you're adding drops, it's changing chemistry. Do you see it? So I can kind of already imagine the smell, because of course smell is also connected to your chemistry. So monoterpenes, for example, will have that first note, and then the monoterpene alcohols are the middle note, and then these sesquiterpenes here give us the lower note. So if I have 100 ml, I might want to put like 10 magnolia leaf, drops of magnolia leaf, and 15 of yuzu. So I have this more fresh smell, because monoterpenes are here dominating. If you want, you can add another oil here. For example, I might want a lower note, and I will add vetiver or whatever, and you can add it because you changed your mind, or you can delete whatever. But just for this simple demonstration, I will show these two essential oils. So the reason I chose these two oils is because they do not have a lot of properties. So what you will see here is 60%, for example, anxiety. And that is because we only have this reference for yuzu. However, we do have 40% of calmness, which is only reference for magnolia leaf. If I was to put, for example, something more typical, like lavender and chamomile, I would have 100% here, because they're both very well covered with references, and then you would find 100% for sedation, for example, or relaxation, because they both have that. Whereas I wanted to use a bit more challenging, because it's hard to find references for both magnolia leaf and yuzu. But what it does do on top of that is, not only do you have more ideas on how to use this blend, I wanted to show you the magic of understanding your detailed report. So when you're working with oils that are rare or do not have the referencing for the essential oil, then we can go to the detailed report IUC, and here it calculates it for you. So this is kind of a GCMS of your blend. Isn't that just amazing? So it calculates according to the ratio we used, and here we used the ratio of 10 drops of magnolia leaf and 15 drops of yuzu, and it creates this kind of a GCMS of the blend. So this is very cool for all us nerds there, but for all the people who want to be practical, what it does is it calculates the properties. So this is the big secret. This is what distinguishes you from other people as well. It is that this blend all of a sudden has so much more value. See, we can use it for antibacterial purposes, anti-inflammatory. So not only will it relax our client, it will also work on inflammation. So for example, this was a massage blend. It will help you with that. On your pain, on, also analgesic, see here, antidepressants 77%. So all of these beautiful chemical components aligned together and are bringing us this into the equation. So my point is that to be able to express yourself more freely, to liberate your creativity, it's easier to do so once you have solid foundation, once you have solid rationales. So you need to have exceptional quality of research, not only on the essential oil, not only books and journals and these wonderful conferences. It is essential for you to go a step further and look into the properties of the chemical components, especially if we want to start implementing these rare local oils. And I think we're all moving towards that. At least we're curious. We can still use our lavender and tea tree and Eucalyptus globulus, but we are curious about all this new stuff coming up. So you might be wondering, how is this going to work for you? How is this being implemented into your work? So let me show you. So in Dropsmith, although it looks very scientific, very straightforward, everything is aligned and nice and neat to have the overview. What I wanted is to have this complete professional look of aromatherapy. Why? Because once I can talk to all my clients, to all these medical staff, or formulators, distillers, I talk to scientists, I want a tool that looks professional. So once I have my rationale and I look professional, then I can be more creative. So actually, behind Dropsmith is the idea of, having the freedom, having the creativity and the freedom to express your creativity, the time to actually do what you love and not to spend it on endless research. We filter your research for you. I have professionals who are qualified to read it and go through it every day. We're adding more and more references there every day. At the moment, we have over 14,000 references in there, and we are, growing every day, so that you can relax and enjoy the journey and actually do what you love, and that is aromatherapy. Some of the features I didn't even get to talk about in Dropsmith is, you saw a little bit about the search tool, so let me show you search and filter, just a quick overview. The search is here to save you time, and again, it's all about you being creative. So for example, if you're stuck, like you just saw, not knowing what to use for something new for relaxation, you just pop it in there. But you can go very specific, like Candida, for example, because we do have that information. So all essential oils that are associated with Candida, you can go and then look them up. This is something you might not know. Remember, we have done our research for not only antifungal, but which fungi if we found, or which bacteria, which virus, or even which mosquito it repels. You can literally type in the name of the mosquito and it will pop it up if we found that research. You might not be so much into, clinical aromatherapy. You might be into skin, so you can write oily skin. And voila, you have oils for oily skin. So you have more choices again. You can be more creative, and then you see the chemistry. You can compare a few of these and choose the one that is best for your choice. So if you're into cosmetics, you can look for different types of skin. You can look, for oils that work on cellulite. You can work on emotions. And this is then usually more people's this comes from aromatherapy journals and books, and how our therapists have their experience. So for example, you can look for something like fear. You have your typical ones like even happiness, but relaxation, sleep, and things like that. Or you can go really specific, like fear or meditation, or sensuality, aphrodisiac. You can search whatever your heart desires. So this is a really cool thing, a time saver again. And just if you're out of ideas, you want to try something new, here it is. It pops up all the oils that are associated with that search. But something that people don't know is this advanced filter. And here you can search for all sorts of things. So one thing I will skip here, you can look by plant part, for example, note, here's a little bit about the smell, so perhaps you might want to look for something that has a floral smell, and it does it automatically, so then you get an idea. But something I will not go into today, but if you're a chemistry fan, you can search by components. So remember we said that linalool, for example, has tons of research. Well, you can search for oils that contain a certain percentage of linalool. So here we have linalool, and I can search for oils that have over, for example, 25% or even over 50% or 40, let's say 40 of linalool. So here you go, you have all these oils that are very rich in linalool, and then you can have some ideas on how to use that. So these are just some of the features that we offer at Dropsmith. You saw the tools such as the comparison tool and the blend tool. We have the private area. Every person has their private area where you can keep your blends and your comparisons. For example, I have tons of my blends here, and then comparisons, for example, for my students and clients that I use. There's just so much I have no time to show you. Some of the benefits that you will be definitely receiving if you join me on this journey with Dropsmith is that it will obviously save you months of research. And this, as I said, I have experts that are doing the research for us. So they are qualified pharmacists that are that can make a call if this research is useful or isn't, that it can go in the database or not. And we are going through oils all the time. So once we come to the end of the list, we start over again. And we do the same for chemical components. We have over 4,000 chemical components in our database. What it gives to me and what my clients say is it provides unquestionable rationale, so outcomes and results. So there is just no question about it. I work with a lot of medical professionals and I have to answer a lot of questions. So when I show them these percentages here with all of these references pointing to scientific evidence that this is an antibacterial, it has antibacterial properties, it's just unquestionable, So my credibility it just jumps, a few, not steps, but a few floors, just by me being able to present it in a professional way. And it calculates for me. I could never do this on my own, not at this magnitude. So saving months, and then what I really love and what was my ultimate goal was to give freedom, creativity, and credibility to my colleagues and my students, and so that we can spend more time doing aromatherapy instead of research. Looking at research is important, is crucial actually. It's the center of how I created Dropsmith, but it was with the intention of us coming back to that creativity and solid rationale for helping other people. So just some numbers I wanted to share with you because I'm very proud actually that we came this far. We have over 14,000 references in Dropsmith, and you can this information is transparent. You can see it on the first page of Dropsmith. You can check out the numbers of references, the numbers of essential oils, because we also are adding essential oils, well, maybe not every day, but almost every day. So right now we have over 800 essential oils in the database. I'm very happy to say that we are almost in 50 countries. Last time I counted was 49, so maybe now we're already in 50 countries, but 49 are definitely using Dropsmith, 49 different countries. That's just mind-blowing. So let me give you some other numbers because I'm sure you are curious how to, get your hands on this. So by now you're probably wondering how much is the subscription, right? And monthly subscription to Dropsmith is $24, and yearly is $247. So we really, really wanted to make this affordable for you. I looked at it actually, how much you would spend on one really good essential oil that much you spend per month, so I made it like a no-brainer. But today we are making a special offer for you, and that is I am throwing a completely free online class. Well, it's not free, but for you it's free. My formulating foundations, if you subscribe to the yearly subscription on this link I am sharing with you right now. So for the price of the yearly subscription to Dropsmith, you will get Dropsmith plus my online class, Formulating Foundations, so I can give you some more tips and tricks on how to make, sophisticated formulating. I hope that you will be joining me on this journey, so I would really love for you to click on this and apply for Dropsmith and apply for my course so that we can continue this conversation. I hope you will use this to boost up your reputation and to just allow your creativity to go wild on you. Because once we feel confident in what we are doing, once we have this rationale behind all our choices, it's so much easier to work. It has done wonders for me. Not only creating Dropsmith, it brought me to so many places, which I then brought to you. It has made my work a lot easier and just allowed me to use my time for what I really enjoy doing, and that is creating new stuff with aromatherapy. So I hope to see you on the other side and joining me for all of this journey. And thank you so much for your time, and wish you a lovely day ahead. Bye.